Imagine a new kind of glider, a hybrid. Hi, my name is Vikram. I go to Aldershot High, and this is my entrepreneurial venture. Take you back to July 2020, when the summer was epic, school was out, and Corona was less. I found a video of a gliding drone that could deliver packages. Intrigued that I would be able to apply this for Istem. So, I decided that it would fulfill 4 main prerequisites: fly and deliver a payload, run off of solar panels, be under $1,000, and possibly beat up Amazon's slow delivery times. I also wanted to take it to the science fair called BASEF. However, to achieve this, I was going to need some math, mainly physics, with the 4 forces of flight: lift, thrust, drag, and weight. You see, for any object to fly, there must be a balance between all forces of flight. Lift is the upward force, weight is the downward, and thrust pulls it forward, while drag holds it back. But enough of me. Let's let Bill Nye explain this.
It's up a 400-ton jumbo jet, or a plastic airplane of science. Now, where does the lift come from? Well, it comes from moving air. When the wings are tipped up a little bit, the moving air creates differences in air pressure. Air pressure! The air going underneath the wings is going a little more slowly than the air going over the top. Now, when air is moving this way, it pushes this way. It doesn't push so much up or down. So there's a little higher pressure under the wing than on top. And that difference in air pressure creates lift. Now, this thing that happens with air, that when it's moving this way, it pushes this way and not so much sideways, is named after a Swiss guy named Bernoulli. Yeah. So we call it the Bernoulli effect.
The Bernoulli effect.
When the wing's curved on top, it doesn't need to be tipped.
And yes, that is exactly how Bill Nye explained lift. Yes. And so using these calculations of lift, I was able to calculate, well, how much velocity would be needed, how much wing area would be needed to fulfill the lift, right? Because in order for lift to happen, for a plane to fly, it must overcome the force of weight. And so that can be determined fairly easy, knowing it's 3 pounds or something, right? However, I would need to learn even more math. I sure did apply a lot of stuff I learned in math to good use in this whole project. Thanks to you, Mr. Mitchell. During the winter, I searched for some good designer CADs to use. This led me to XFlyer, which is able to calculate and render aviation drawings of flyers and calculations. I downloaded this software and placed an airfoil from some university students at NASA in its schematics. Then I implemented my measurements into the software. This was the end result. Oh, but don't worry. We will scale that down.
This is where the fun begins.
The first thing I did was I scaled down my whole aircraft, as 10 meters was just way too long, and second, that is like completely illegal because it'd just be way too much of a safety hazard for anyone to have in the sky. So I went to Mr. Hutt and Mr. Lent's office, and we got all my wood cut to the right proportions, in the right shapes, and they also suggested that making a former for me, a tiny little piece of wood that would help hold the wing together. This way it would all stick together. Next thing I did was I worked on the electronics, all of the battery, electronic controller parts, and even the motor, all assembled together using the wiring knowledge from microbits. Finally, I laid down all my wooden planks in a plan form, and then started adding reinforcement layers onto it. This way, it'd give the wing internal strength. Finally, I layered off the top of the wing, and the wing was done. But we needed a fuselage too. So I ended up creating a fuselage out of cardboard roll. It was time to prove to the world that this craft is really airworthy. It was time to test.
Okay, fine.
I
Go.
also
One,
had a really
two,
bad
three,
haircut.
gently.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Vikram,
Minecraft didn't really work. No. But when does anything work the first time anyways? So I'm going to redesign the craft, implement a better tail section in it, design one, wider wings, and then use proper shop material like 3D printers, laser cutters, and scroll saws to cut wood, right? To make my prototype. And I think it's going to be much easier since I already got all the work done. And I will eventually go onto Kickstarter and go for crowdfunding to further implement my business. Eventually, I'd like a prototype which can carry 10 pounds worth of weight with solar panels and reinforced hulls, but I still learned a whole lot as a student. As a student, I learned a lot of math, quadratics, trigonometry, stuff that we are learning actually right now in school helped me early on in the summer when I was learning that stuff that we're learning now to get glide distances and stuff like that. As a tinkerer, right, I needed to learn so many different design softwares, 3 different rendering softwares like AutoCAD, Inventor, and XFlyer. I also needed to learn how to wire things properly, and that's what I learned from microbits too. I also learned that, hey, I need to code this thing in the future with Arduinos, which means I'll need to know how to code, which I do with the JavaScript tinkering thing. And as a craftsman too, I learned a lot of woodworking things, like balsa wood can be cut with an X-Acto knife. Wow, it's pretty good, right? And all that experience gave me some more insight into what I can do next better. And of course, most thing I learned was soft skills. To keep on persevering no matter what. Sounds super cliche, but that's okay. Although this project, as it stands, is a rubber chicken, I am not going to give up on this future golden goose. Thank you. Vikram, out.